Alright, this is my first ever football video. I've done basketball in the past, but this feels like a very fitting first football video. Ole Miss in the middle of an incredibly confusing situation with head coach Lane Kiffin. As much as I want Kiffin to stay, I'm not stupid, and I don't think any of us are. $98 million offered, and this weird feeling around the university, he's gone. He gone. So let's just move on. Let's just start before the Egg Bowl, before the playoffs even start. Let's look at who could be Ole Miss's next head coach. And I have my top 10 candidates. I want to start with an honorable mention, a few of them actually, who are coaches that I want, but I've already heard rumors that they're going elsewhere. At the time I'm making this, Alex Golesh and John Sumrall have not taken a job. However, I've seen rumors of Golesh to Arkansas and Sumrall to Auburn, and I don't know if these are confirmed. I get all my news from Pete Thamel, so until he confirms something, I don't know if it's true, but I've seen rumors. Bob Chesney is another honorable mention. I debated putting him on here, but I didn't because I don't think he's leaving James Madison. I could be wrong, but it feels like he's not leaving James Madison. It feels like he'll stay another year, hop in another cycle, and take a Florida State job. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to get him. At number 10, we have a different Sun Belt head coach, and that is G.J. Kinn, the head coach of the Texas State Bobcats. Kinn has previously coached Incarnate Word. He's had success there, and he's had success at Texas State. It's not insane levels. It's not Bob Chesney at James Madison levels, but it is good. I like what he brings. He's a modern offense, high upside. He could definitely be a long-term coach who could grow us if we gave him, enough time. And I think with the history and state of this program, I don't think we would be the Florida team to fire a coach after, 8-4 season or whatnot. That's not who we are. We're not a team that enters every season with national title expectations. Number 9, I have Georgia defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann. He's a young defensive mind. If we want a, guy from the Kirby tree, which has had success in the past, look at Dan Lanning in Oregon. That was an amazing hire. Oregon found their coach for the next several years. It's going to be a long tenure there, and it's going to be a good tenure there. So why not hire the guy who was after Dan Lanning? I don't think there was anyone in between Lanning and Schumann. I could be wrong, but I believe the Georgia hired Schumann after Lanning left for Oregon. He's done a good job there. They've produced talent there. And he's got, again, a high upside. That's what we're looking for. Just high upside coaches who are going to dip into the portal, who can keep us at the level that we're at. And I think all of those things are something that Schumann brings to the table. At number 8, I have Joe Judge, former New York Giants head coach and current Ole Miss quarterbacks coach. I know that the inside the organization or program hires aren't going to be super popular, but someone's got to be the interim if Kiffin leaves for the playoffs, unless we pull in Eric Morris and say, oh yeah, Kiffin, you're still going to coach the playoffs. I don't think he'll take that offer. He'll be too busy dipping around in the portal with wherever he goes. So we're going to need someone, and while I don't like Judge as the best option, I wouldn't be mad if we hired Joe Judge. Obviously, his one head coaching job did not go well, but let's cut him a little slack. He was working with late career Eli Manning and the rest of those, the start of the modern era Giants. I don't really think anyone would do well there. I think Brian Daboll's a great coach, and he flared out. But I think that Judge would be a fine interim head coach, and depending on how he does in the playoffs, I wouldn't hate making him the full-time coach. I need to see how he does. But, it's a pretty known story that coaching in the NFL and coaching in college are very different. So, why not give him a shot, at least at the interim? But, if he does well, I'm not going to be totally opposed to handing him a contract and saying, here you go. Number 7, I have Matt Campbell, the Iowa State head coach. It feels like just a month ago that I was seeing Matt Campbell linked to Penn State. I was seeing possibly even Matt Campbell linked to places like Florida. And then no one has talked about him since. I think a large part of that is because Iowa State has fallen off the face of the earth. But I also just think that, as bigger names have come up and bigger jobs have come up, Matt Campbell's just kind of been left in the dust. I would not hate this at all. I think he could build more program. He could continue recruiting well. And, he brings physicality. He brings, that he's not a coach that's going to be like Billy Napier where he's not going to care. He's going to stay into the team. He's going to stay invested. He's going to have them ready for every game. And I think he could keep us at the level of success that we've had. At number 6, I have Will Stein, Oregon offensive coordinator. Young offensive mind, has made Oregon really good. Well, has helped make Oregon really good. And, a very high upside. Could definitely bring some innovation to this team. I think it would be a solid hire. Not really much more to say there. At number 5, I have another offensive coordinator. This one is Brian Hartline. It's a little less likely that we get Hartline, which is part of the reason I have him so low. Because, obviously Penn State heavily pursuing a guy like him to take from Ohio State. But look at what Hartline has been able to do at Ohio State with working with all of these talented players. We saw what he did with Quinshon Judkins, and, with him being a former Ole Miss running back, I would love to see what he could do with a guy like Keywan Lacey. And, look at what he's done with Sayin. He's been able to work so well. And, obviously Julian Sayin's a great quarterback. Jeremiah Smith's a generational wide receiver, but that doesn't discredit that Brian Hartline's been able to work with it super well. But part of the reason he's so low is just I don't think we're going to be able to get him, but if we can, I don't hate the hire. At number 4, I have another coach similar to Glenn Schumann from the Kirby tree, and that is Syracuse head coach Fran Brown. I know Syracuse has had a bad year this year, but it does not mean that Fran Brown is a bad coach. They've been riddled with injuries. They had a mildly tough schedule. And, he's already shown the ability to not only, fix a program, which is not super needed here, but he strikes me as a guy who can maintain success of a team. He's a great recruiter, which is something that I feel like we should be doing a bit more. As much as I love the portal, renting teams every year isn't exactly a super sustainable strategy, so I would like to have a coach that can recruit a little bit better, and Fran Brown strikes me as someone like that. He'll bring the physicality. He'll have us ready for every game. I like the hire. At number 3, we have Ryan Silverfield, Memphis head coach. Of all of the group of 5 options, I feel like Silverfield was always going to be my highest, even, with Sumrall or Golish. And I really like both of those guys, but Silverfield, he's everything that I want in a coach to come to Ole Miss right now. He uses the transfer portal. He has already got a track record of sustaining success. When Mike Norvell left Memphis, he took over the team and he kept them at the level that Norvell had them at, which is exactly what I want a coach to come in and do for us. And he's being linked to a lot of places, but LSU or Florida, they're going to take Kiffin, and I really don't see one of those teams going after a Silverfield because it's not as big of a hire as they want. They want the big splashy name. They want the power head coach. That's not what Silverfield is. But I feel like we are a team that is primed to take a group of 5 head coach or coordinator. And if we're going to get one of those, I think Silverfield is one of the best that we can get. At number 2, I have Pete Golding. If we're going to hire anyone in staff, it better be Pete Golding. I know, no one wants this, I feel like. I see so many people saying that we have to go out, or that if we're going to promote someone, it can't be permanent. But why not? Why not? We just paid him a lot of money, and I know our defense has not been good this year. But how much of that is because we don't have a good defense, right? Like last year, we had a super talented defense, and he was able to work with it. This year, we lost almost all of our defense, except for Sinatrine Perkins. And it just, when you do that, you can't expect the defense to stay at that level. I still think Golding is very smart. He is a great coach. And I really do think that if we don't want to disrupt anything, if we want a smooth transition, that Golding's probably our best bet for that. I know last time we hired an interim head coach to be the permanent one, it was awful. But that was a very different time in the program, and I feel like even then it was kind of like, what are we doing? Why Matt Luke? Why Matt Luke? He wasn't that great. He wasn't really supposed to be the coach, it felt like, and we just kind of rushed that decision. It feels like Golding would be a good coach, and I think this would be the best realistic hire. And I say that because number one is Missouri head coach Eli Drinkwitz. If we can get Eli Drinkwitz, we should. However, I feel like Lane Kiffin is going to LSU. That seems like the much more likely case. I don't know why he would take the Florida job. And Florida has already shown heavy interest in Eli Drinkwitz. And that leaves me a little concerned that we would be in a bidding battle with Florida. But if Florida doesn't pursue Drinkwitz, Ole Miss should go after him heavily. He is a great coach. He has made Missouri into a good team, and I think if we give him an opportunity here, he will absolutely be a slam dunk hire. We may build off of and have better seasons than we've had under Kiffin if we can hire Eli Drinkwitz. He's an amazing coach, and if possible, he is without a doubt, I think, the number one option we could get.